What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pokervlog. It is a beautiful, sunny, warm Friday afternoon here, the first Friday of the new year in Las Vegas. January the 5th, 2024. Happy New Year to everyone, and welcome back. Great to have you back on the vlog. And because it's such a nice day, I thought I would get outside and record this intro here and get a little sunshine. Get out and get a little walk, get a little sunshine, and kind of wake up and get the blood flowing. I have to get back and do a little bit of work at home before I get out to the poker room tonight. And we're going to do the first official vlog of the new year. And it's going to be at the Wynn. We're going back to the Wynn poker room. Yes, we're going to try to see if we can win at the Wynn, which has escaped us. I've only done one vlog there though, but I've played a couple sessions there and I've yet to have a winning session at the Wynn. So let's see if we can't change that today. Before we get into the poker hands though, I did want to share with you some reflections on the vlog 2023 specifically, and then the vlog moving forward. So the end of 2023 was a bit rough. Went on a downswing, and the last 30 to 45 days of the year were pretty challenging, to say the least, poker-wise. And that has definitely caused my motivation to suffer a little bit in terms of wanting to record my sessions and continue the vlog. So I haven't really felt the whole vlogging thing as of late, but that's going to change. I need to just get back into it and start creating the content that I do enjoy doing for all of you, and win or lose, that's what I'm going to do. So just got to shrug it off, dust it off, get the dust off, dirt off your shoulders, and keep going. So with that in mind, I feel like I need to switch it up a bit more in terms of where I'm playing. I've been playing at South Point a lot. A lot of that was to just get in hours for the winter free roll, or the fall free roll, whichever that was in December. I think it was the fall free roll. And of course they're having another free roll coming up here at the end of March or beginning of March. But I'm not going to be as focused on that. I know I want to play in some other rooms that I feel like the game selection will be much better in those rooms. So I'm going to make a very concerted effort here to try to get to other rooms in Vegas. And tonight we're going to be at the Wynn, so that's in an effort to start playing in different poker rooms. I reapplied for permission to vlog at MGM properties, and hopefully they'll get back to me this time, and I will be able to start vlogging at some of the MGM properties here in Vegas. But in addition to that, I want to get outside of Vegas and start vlogging in some different areas of the country. So, I'm going to make an effort to try to get to LA at least a few times this year and get a vlog in at the Hustler. I'm also going to make an effort to try to get down to Austin and get a vlog in, or a few vlogs in, at the Lodge. Might try to get to Dallas while I'm in Texas and play in Dallas and get a vlog in there. So you get the idea. Want to get out and experience and vlog in other areas of the country and try to capture what poker is like in some of these low stakes games in some of those rooms. So all of that is to say, I think there's some good things in store for the vlog in 2024, and I do have some growth goals in mind for the vlog. Pretty simple stuff. I'd like to see if I could get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Right now I'm at about 1,100, so have a ways to go there. So please do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss future episodes, and all that fun YouTube stuff. Because I'd like to see if we can really get this channel to blow up. which obviously will help YouTube to share it to more like-minded folks out there in the YouTube world. So lots of fun things to come, guys. Lots of fun things to come. Hopefully this year will be a positive year. We did end on in the red in a downswing in 2023. So I'm going to look to see if we can't turn that around and end in the green in 2024. And with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into the poker hands. We get seated in the 5 seat, and about 2 hands in, we pick up king, queen offsuit on the button. Everyone folds to the hijack, who makes it 12 to go, and I take the passive route here, pre-flop, and put in the call with position. Both blinds get out of the way, so we are going to go heads up here to a flop, and it is a flop that we totally whiff. We see the ace of spades, 8 of spades, and the 3 of diamonds. But I think I can represent more of the sets of 8s and sets of 3s here. And I think I can represent more of the flush draws here as well. So when the hijack continuation bets for 18, I do not take the passive approach on this flop. I raise it up, and I'm thinking about my sizing here, whether or not I want to go large or if I want to just do more of like a 3x sizing here. And I settle on $55 on this flop. It is a fairly dynamic board with the flush draw, but I don't think we need to go too large here. I also think we're going to get called at a pretty high frequency, so I make it 55 to go. This puts the hijack into the tank for quite a bit, and while the hijack is tanking, I am thinking of what I want to do on what turn card. So any spade, I want to continue to tell my story that I have a strong hand. Any card that gives my hand equity, like a jack or a 10, that gives me a gut shot, I want to keep barreling on. If I turn some showdown value here, like a king or a queen, I might slow down and just try to get to showdown and take my showdown value. After the hijack calls, though, we see a beautiful card on the turn to continue bluffing. It is the jack of spades. The hijack does check in flow, and I'm thinking about my sizing now. The board is very dynamic at this point, and I think on this type of a turn card, we want to go large with our bet sizing. This is not solver approved. I have not checked the solver. This is my intuition telling me we want to go large, so I make it $125 on the turn. Now the hijack is back into the tank, and my heart is beating so hard, I think I might need an ambulance or one of those defibrillator things after this hand is over. Finally, the hijack does decide to let it go, and we end up taking this pot down. Wow, we got a bluff through. Who knew that was a thing at 1-3, no limit Holdem? A few hands later, we pick up a premium with the queen of spades, queen of clubs in early position, which means we're going to be out of position if and when this goes to the flop. So obviously a raise is in order here. I make it $10 to go. Why so small, you might ask? Everyone will call $10, you say? My answer is there is a massive whale in the 7 seed who keeps min raising every single time someone raises in front of him. And sure enough, after middle position 1 player calls, the player in the 7th seat makes it 20. It folds back to me, and another raise is in order here. I make it 70 to go, and I'm trying to get a sizing that I think the player will call. But that's not what happens. MP1 gets out of the way, and the whale in the 7th seat unfortunately folds, and we don't get any action here. No worries, though, as the ladies love the action. This time we've got queen of hearts, queen of diamonds, and we have them in position in the cutoff. Under the gun player puts in the $3 call, a.k.a. limps into the pot, and the middle position player limps into the pot as well. I raise it up to $12. This is way too small of a pre-flop raise. Math is hard. Small blind calls, big blind calls, under the gun calls, middle position player calls. We are going multi-way to a flop with a premium hand, which kind of sucks, to be honest. And it doesn't get much better when we see Jack 10 deuce rainbow. When everyone checks to me, I think this is just a check. Firing into 4 players doesn't seem ideal. Sure, we can get value from hands like Ace-Jack and King-Jack, but with 4 players, it's likely someone hit this board. 2 pair of sets seem very likely here, so all that's to say I play chicken and check the flop, and we see the 6 of diamonds on the turn. Shouldn't change much here. If we were behind, we're still behind. If we were ahead, we are still ahead. Small blind leads for $10. Big blind folds, and the under the gun player immediately makes it 40. Middle position player calls 40, and I make a disciplined fold here. I don't know if this is the best fold, but I just really don't see how our hand is going to be good here. And everyone else folds as well, and it's heads up to a river, which is the 8 of hearts. And it ends up going check, check on the river, and now I'm thinking, damn it, I folded the winner. That is until the under the gun player turns over the Jack 10 of spades for flop 2 pair. I had a feeling. We get a change to the 2 seat, and immediately we pick up King Jack of hearts under the gun. I raise it up, I make it 10 to go, and it folds around to the whale who's in the cutoff, who's been min-raising almost every hand pre-flop. But not this time. This time he decides to just put in the $10 call, and the button calls $10 as well. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop, which gives us a straight draw, a backdoor flush draw with 1 over. We see Queen of clubs, 9 of clubs, 7 of hearts. I lead with the check on this flop. I want to see what the cutoff or the button are going to do. Cutoff checks, and the button checks as well. And we see an interesting card on the turn. It gives us the nut straight, but it also brings in the front door flush. It's the 10 of clubs. Definitely want to start building a pot here with the nut straight. So on the turn card, I announce a bet. And the cutoff, before I can even get the amount over the bet line, says he's raising no matter what the size is. So I make it 20, and he immediately min raises to 40. This, I don't know what he's representing or what this means, but we're not going anywhere with our straight. I put in the call, and we are off to a river, which is a pretty safe 3 of diamonds. I plan on check calling, and that's what I do. He puts in $50. I snap call it. He says straight. I say I have the nut straight, and he seems a bit confused when the dealer tells him that we have the higher end of the straight. This guy's great for the game. I love this kind of action at the table, but unfortunately he leaves shortly after this hand. We have King Jack suited again. This time it's King Jack of clubs in the small blind. It folds around to the button, who decides to raise it up. They make it 10 to go. King Jack of clubs seems like a great hand to 3-bet in the small blind, so I go ahead and raise this up to 35. Could be going a bit larger here, maybe up to 40, but as played, I think this is going to get a lot of the crap out of the button's range to fold, but they don't fold this time. They put in the call, and we are going heads up to a flop of 9 of clubs, 5 of hearts, 3 of diamonds. So we end up with 2 overs and a backdoor flush draw here. And even though I think I can represent a lot of the premium holdings like aces, kings, queens, and jacks, I think this board hits the button's range harder than it hits my raising range. So I check and see what the button wants to do, and the button checks back. We see the 7 of spades on the turn. Makes the board more connected, so I just continue to check. Now the button goes to bet, and I snap fold. We pick up a middling pocket pair in the cutoff. We've got pocket 6s, and it ends up folding around to me, so I go ahead and raise this up. I make it 10 to go. The button, who'd been playing a pretty straightforward, tight aggressive strategy, decides to 3-bet, makes it 40 to go. I think the button's going to have a pretty fair amount of premium holdings in their 3-betting range. They had not been 3-betting light, so I expect they're going to be pretty strong, and I think we're getting the right implied odds here to call to set mine with our pocket 6s, so I put in the 30 additional dollars, and we are off to a flop. Unfortunately, the flop does not connect with our hand. We see the Queen of Hearts, 9 of clubs, 5 of diamonds, so we completely whiff. I think a better player here might be able to check call, putting the button on a hand like ace king or ace king suited, but I just go ahead and check fold. So we get out of the way after missing our flop. The button bets 60 and we are out of there and we are on to the next hand. The very next shuffle, we pick up 4-3 of diamonds in the hijack, and we get a little out of line with this one. It ends up folding around to me, and I make it 10 to go. The same player from the last hand, who's now in the cutoff, calls, folds to the big blind, who also puts in the call. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop. Flop comes down ace of clubs, 5 of clubs, 3 of hearts. We flopped a pair and a gutter. All things considered, not a terrible flop for 4-3 of diamonds. Big blind checks and flow, and I think a continuation bet is the best play here. And I want to look like I'm value betting, so I go with a half pot size bet of 15. Cutoff calls 15, and the big blind gets out of the way, so we're heads up to a turn, which doesn't help our exact hand whatsoever, but it does connect with our pre-flop raising range. It's the king of hearts. So I think this is a pretty good card to keep telling my story and keep trying to show that we have a value hand here. So I go with another half pot size bet of $30, and this does put the cutoff into the tank for a bit, but he does find the call, so we're off to a river, and we're going to have to get pretty creative here on a river if we want to win this pot. And the river's not the best card to continue barreling. It's the 6 of hearts. But we have the bottomest of bottom pairs, and we have the worst hand we'll ever have in this spot. So if there ever is a candidate for bluffing, this is the one. I fire for 60, and again, this puts the cutoff into the tank for a little bit. I'm really trying to make him think that I have a value hand here, and I have him beat. He does find the call, unfortunately. I say you win. I show him our bottom of bottom pairs, and he shows us ace jack and puts it right in front of the camera for the vlog. Nice hand, sir. Nice hand. A few shuffles later, we pick up the big one, the pocket rockets in the big blind, ace of spades, ace of diamonds. Folds to the cutoff, who's been pretty active pre-flop and hasn't been folding to 3 bets pre-flop. So when he raises it up to 10, it's music to my ears. I'm obviously going to be 3-betting here. Question is how much, and I go with a little bit larger sizing because 1, I'm going to be out of position post-flop, and 2, I expect him to call here with a fairly high frequency. So I make it 45 to go, and it's back over to the cutoff. Puts him into the tank for a little bit, but he doesn't think too long here before going ahead and putting in the call, which is what I expected him to do quite often. And we are off to a flop here, which comes down jack of clubs, 9 of clubs, 4 of spades. Pretty connected board. I expect him to have hit this pretty frequently, so I'm going to go ahead and fire a continuation bet. I make it 60 to go. And again, he goes a little bit into the tank here. Actually thinks for quite a while on this $60 bet. And the longer that he's thinking, the more I'm praying for either a call or that he just goes ahead and rips in his entire stack. I think he's got like 350-ish left, so we're obviously never folding if he goes all in here. But after some deliberation, he does kind of start to make some signs that he's going to fold. He's kind of sighing and making some rather unpleasant faces that he's not satisfied with things, and he lets his cards go. And we end up taking this one down, and we don't get any additional action here with our pocket aces. We pick up the ladies again, and this time we're in the hijack, and when it folds to me, I raise it up to 12. Folds over to the big blind, who is the same opponent from the last hand, and he goes ahead and puts in the call. So we're going to continue on here, heads up to a flop. The flop comes down very dynamic, very connected. We see 10, 8, 7 with 2 clubs. In the moment, I felt like this is a flop that we would want to be checking back with a pretty high frequency. So when the big blind checks, I go ahead and put in the check. And we see a beautiful queen on the turn, giving us top set. So when the big blind checks on the turn, I want to start building a pot here. I put out a $16 bet. The big blind thinks for a while here, and it looks like he's thinking about possibly putting in a raise here on the turn. But eventually he does decide to just go ahead and call, so we're going to go off to a river. And the river is a pretty safe card. It's the ace of hearts. Now the big blind leads for $45. And I just decide to snap call him here, thinking he's probably got two pair or something like that. And this is pretty stupid. Could have at least thought about a raise, maybe, possibly. Anyway, as played, we end up taking down this pot, but I'm pretty sure we left money on the table with this one. This next one is a fun one. We pick up the Cowboys on the button, king of spades, king of hearts. We see a bunch of players just limp into the pot. When it gets over to me, I'm going to bump this up. I make it 20 to go, just trying to isolate and punish the limpers, of course. And we end up getting one caller in the middle position 2 seat. Effective stacks are around $500, so we're fairly deep here when the flop comes down. 6-4 deuce rainbow. Player checks and flow to me, and I continuation bet here for $20. And he pretty quickly calls, and then we see another 6 peel off here on the turn, pairing the top pair on the board. My spidey senses are going off a little bit here, so when he checks, I quickly check back, exercising a little pot control. And the river is gin. It's the king of diamonds, giving us the best full house on the board. Now the middle position player decides to bet here. He makes it 35 to go, and it's back over to me. I'm thinking about my raise size here for a bit. Then I think about what I might want to order for dinner. And a vacation in Costa Rica sounds kind of fun. I might want to go to Thailand at some point in my life too, so put that on the bucket list. After thinking about some fun stuff, then I decide to raise it up to $120. Just praying that the middle position player decides to go crazy and rip in his remaining stack with whatever 6x hand he called with, or maybe he flopped a set and turned a full house. He looks visibly confused by this raise. He announces he has a 6. He eventually calls, and I show him the bad news. He says he has ace 6. And these players are getting too good. Just calling with top set, best trips. It's hard to get value in these streets these days. That last hand with pocket kings put us up on the session. I think we're up around $200 at the moment. And we pick up pocket aces. So things are looking up here. And I raise it to 12. We're in early position. Ends up folding around to a middle position player who puts in the $12 call. This invites in the cutoff. This invites in both blinds. So we're going to end up going multi-way here to a flop. I think 5 ways to a flop, actually. And the flop comes down 10-6-4 with 2 diamonds. Seeing that we're multi-way and we're out of position on this board, I decide to lead with a check, with the intention of check raising for value, trying to get value from flush draws and from 10x hands. So I put in the check. It's over to the middle position player who makes it 40 to go, and he's only got about another 140 behind after this bet. Surprisingly, the hijack and the small blind both call $40. I continue forward with my plan to check raise. I make it 175 to go. And then it's back over to the middle position player, which is the player that I'm really trying to target in this hand. I'd really like to just isolate and get it all in with this player. I think he can have the most 10x hands that we're ahead of. He might have some sets. He's going to have some flush draws as well. So I'm feeling pretty good about my hand when he does put in the call. And both the hijack and small blind do get out of the way. So we are isolated with this middle position player. With a strong hand, I think we've got a good chance here to walk away with a decent profit on the session, especially when we see both the turn and the river peel off bricks. No diamonds. Looking pretty good. That is until he turns over 10-6 of spades. He flopped 2 pair, and we end up donating our hard-earned profits back to the middle position player to end the session. All right, so we are back in the car and just finished up our session here at the Wynn. It's about 12:30 in the morning. We played for about 6.5 hours, and unfortunately the downswing continues. Can't seem to get a winning session in, so we were in the game for $640 and we ended up cashing out for $482. I'll put the totals up here somewhere like I usually do. Yeah, just, had some run good, and then as usual immediately turn around and run bad and just lose it all back. So can't seem to get any momentum going. Consistent run good, consistently getting some bluffs through. It just seems like I get a bluff through and then 2 or 3 bluffs fail, and I win a big pot, and then I turn around with another big hand and I lose a big pot. So it's a lot of just very swingy right now, a lot of variance, and most of it not going in my favor. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like this episode, please do hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, so please, 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 please hit that subscribe button. If you got this far, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future episodes. That's going to do it for this one. I will see you shortly in the next one, so stay tuned for that. Until then, good luck at the tables and take care. Peace.